Local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Mike Bozak's our guest. Mike, 25 years and counting with the Landmark Society of Greater Utica, and landmarks is what we're going to talk about today. And we're also going to talk about the upcoming holiday season because they're going to be out with their new Christmas ornament, and they've got a holiday house for you to go visit. But before we do any of that, we're going to say welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Joe.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. My pleasure. And holidays are a busy time for everybody, including landmarks. And you've got a holiday house for people to go look at this year, yes?
Yes, we've done this for about 11 or 12 years now, and we have a really nice one this year. It's a little further out than we normally go. We normally go right around the Utica area. This one's in Remsen, and it is a fantastic house, big stone house on Fuller Road, and it is the Fuller House. It was originally the house for the farm, and interesting history there. Simeon Fuller bought the property from Baron von Steuben, whose monument is up the road a ways on Fuller Road. But this house was in the family until about the 1940s, and it's had a few owners since. And a young couple has it now, the Weavers, and they've graciously agreed to allow us to have our holiday house there.
Yeah. Would the Weavers be related to the Weavers of Revolutionary War fame?
I'm not sure, but we'll find out, I'm sure.
Yeah. And have you been in that house, Mike?
I have, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Danae Weaver was on the board for a while, and she is a fantastic decorator. She's very much into the holiday decorations and the historic restoration, so the house is immaculate. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a big house, has a big addition on the back, but the old section is stunning. There's a great big fireplace in the kitchen, including a beehive oven.
And there's a picture of it right there, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's hard to miss from Fuller Road.
Yeah. There's a donation to landmarks that goes with this.
Yes, every year. There's no reservations required for that. You just show up basically as you have in the past. And $10 at the door gets you in, and it's a self-guided tour. There'll be docents around to help you out and also to answer questions. The family will be around as well. Is
this proved to be a good fundraiser for you, Mike?
It has. It really has. And people look forward to it. They ask every year. In fact, it was at the last one that Danae approached me and asked about that, and we agreed.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some of the others you've done. In Utica, you've done a couple, right, Mike?
Recently, yes, we did Bob Heinz's house on Clinton Place. And we did Clinton. It's the sign in front says Clara Barton, but it is the big white home in Clinton and all that. It was absolutely gorgeous. Many others as well that are really interesting. People love to get into people's houses and see how they decorate for Christmas. And we have holiday music. We'll have a singer and a piano player.
Speaking of holidays, you did something for Halloween down in Rutger Park, yes?
Yes. We've had some success with that. Some Haunted Mansion tours and all that, which is kind of cool. Number one looks pretty spooky when you look at it from Rutger Street. So.
Yeah. Speaking of number one Rutger, which would be on Rutger Street and Howard Ave.
Yes.
And number 3, which is across the vacant lot from number 1.
Yes, right at the head of John Street.
Right at the head of John Street. What's going on with number 3? That's really your signature project, number 3, yes?
Number 3 is a signature project. Most of the ground floor is done. If you haven't been in there a while, it looks spectacular. We're working on the back porch, which is a big project, and eventually move to the front of the building. Eventually, we'd love to have it lit at night, and that would be stunning if you come up John Street and see that all lit up. So that's been coming along very well, slowly but surely. Yeah.
You doing something to the roof, you were telling me, Mike?
That was actually number 1.
Number 1,
We've been doing some work there as well. Took some of the appurtenances from the nursing home, because at one time it was a nursing home for actually many years.
Home,
yeah. So a lot of that is gone, and we're working on the roof, which is quite an extensive job. but much needed. You have to replace the roof and keep that in good shape to keep the rest of the building watertight.
Yeah. What about landscaping down there? There was a garden behind number 3, yes?
Yes, yes. Future plans call for restoration of the gardens as much as possible. That's a little bit down the road. Obviously, you take care of the buildings first, gardens next. But the gardens were quite extensive and quite beautiful.
At one time, I don't know the years this would have been the case, but at one time you would come up John Street when the city of Utica was much smaller geographically, and you were at the edge of the city when you came up to Rutger Street.
Oh, yes, yes. And it was Rutger Place at that time, and that was pretty much the edge of the city, actually before it was a city.
The Rutger Street area, and not just the historic Rutger Park, but there's some beautiful homes farther east on Rutger.
There really are, and quite a bit of Rutgers is in the Scenic and Historic District, so they are theoretically protected from any kind of shenanigans and all that. It takes enforcement, but there are some great homes there.
What makes for a landmark? We're going to talk about modern landmarks a little bit later, but what makes for a historic landmark?
Well, a lot of different things. It could be the history, it could be who lived there, it could be the architecture or the architect involved, or just the type of building it is. Some of the buildings may not be necessarily historic, but are part of a district, like you mentioned Rutger Street, that are part of the Rutgers-Steuben Historic District, and all together they make up a very unique section of the city that defines Utica.
Yeah, and all those things that you just named that go for an historic landmark, number 3 has really got all those right to a T.
Oh, yes, yes.
Including famous people that
Very
stayed
much
there.
so, and number 3, I mentioned this before on our program here, but number 3 is actually a national historic landmark, and that's above and beyond being on the register. There's only 2 of those in Utica proper, and the other one is Old Main. So that is a very high designation. It's the highest designation a single property can have.
When we come back, we'll talk about some more properties in the greater Utica area. I also want to talk about that Christmas ornament.
Yes.
Mike Bozak's our guest. Short break, right back.